What converted me to being a furry? Hi everyone, it's Malka here. Bear with me for a quick sponsor break. Did you know that all of this YouTube channel, all of my TikTok, Instagram, my entire existence online is entirely self-funded? To help fund myself and my endeavors both in art and just online, I sell and make a variety of products. If you'd like to support me, you can check out my website at queenmockabun.squarespace, where I sell all of my products, including mug rugs, stickers, jewelry, and so much more. If you'd like to see behind the scenes and get some awesome perks, I also do have a Patreon. My Patreon does offer things like a monthly sticker club as well. But if you're not in a position to financially support me, that's totally okay. There is no pressure whatsoever. But if you would like to still support me, chuck us a follow us on Instagram, TikTok, any of our other socials. Just remember to interact, and that is enough as it is, and I am so grateful to everyone who follows me and who interacts with my content. You are genuinely the best. But that's enough from me, back to the video. This is a question that I have received a lot. Why am I a furry? What made me a furry? I made a video previously about kind of why I'm in the fandom and why I've continued to stick around in the fandom, but I wanted to talk about like how I got here and why I'm a furry. Now this does have a little bit of context that I'll go into, so bear with me while I talk about a bit of background. I have always kind of been a furry. Now, I say always. When I was very young, and I say very young, I mean primary school age, I was a wolf kid. What? Cringe, I know. We listen, we don't judge. I was a very cringy little child. I was one of those kids. And I grew up watching anime, and I watched Naruto, and I saw the nine-tailed fox, and I was like, oh my god, I want to be a nine-tailed fox so bad. Now, during this time, I didn't have a word or a term to kind of describe the interests that I had, but I was a furry. I wanted to be a furry. I just didn't know what it was. As I got older, I kind of looked back on myself and went, oh my god, what was I doing? That was so cringe. I want to remove those memories forever. But then I met my partner, and he was big ups into the furry community. Now, we didn't actually meet through the furry community. We met through Halo Amino. I know, cringe again. I was a cringy little child, but he was big ups into the furry community. And prior to meeting him, I had kind of learnt what a furry was, and I knew kind of deep down that I was one, but I was, 13, 14 when I found out what they were, and I was like, no, I'm not one of those, that's gross. But when I met him, and he was really open and really like, yeah, no, I'm a furry, whatever, I have a fursuit, like it is what it is, I kind of felt a lot more okay with going, oh, well, I like that stuff too, so maybe it's not as cringe as I thought it was. Now, hindsight's 2020. It is a bit weird, it is a bit cringe, but to be cringe is to be free. So I kind of always knew that I was furry, and that's why I tend to avoid questions about how long have you been a furry, because for me it's a very complicated answer. I always have been, I've always had an interest, I just didn't have the words, and I've kind of fallen in and out of the community as various things in my life has happened. I met my partner Keegan, and he was really big into it, and I became really big into it. And I kind of first delved into drawing his persona, Keegan, namesake, and that's kind of what got me inspired to do the art and whatnot, and I just found it fun. I am a lover of YouTube. I love having YouTube video going in the background, and if you're a furry, probably know where this is going. Shortly after meeting Keegan and kind of starting to dabble a little bit more in the furry community, I started watching Odin Wolf. Now, I'm going to defend myself here. I'm going to say this. I don't know about any of the drama. The last drama I heard was that he was a mersuiter, and that was it. That was around the time that I stopped watching him, like 5-6 years ago. I don't know about anything subsequent to that. So any drama I don't know about, don't ask me about, I don't know. I no longer watch him. I haven't watched him in years. But when I was watching him, it was just content that I watched on YouTube and I would have playing in the background while I was drawing, and he spoke about his experiences in the community and like making his first owner and getting his first fursuit, and it was something that I just found really interesting. And in fact, I think he wasn't even the first furry content that I watched. I believe that the first YouTube video I watched was someone getting into fursuit for the first time. I cannot for the life of me remember who they were, but they had a white canine fursuit, and I watched that video countless times. I didn't really know what a fursuit was at the time. Like I knew that it was like a dog head or, you know, like an animal head or whatever, but beyond that I was like, okay, yeah, but like what do you do in it? But I was watching this person get into a fursuit over and over again, and eventually, you know, watching the same video 20 times in a row, you get a bit bored. And Odin Wolf came up and I was like, oh, cool, that's someone else who has a fursuit. Maybe they'll tell me a little bit more about what it is. Because I really liked the look of a fursuit. I just didn't really know what it was all about. So I started to watch Odin Wolf. And that was kind of what got me more into it, was having people who were just really confident and really open about being in the fandom and what like their experiences were. And I wouldn't say they converted me into a furry, because like I said, I always knew that I was, but they were people who kind of helped to explain to child me what the fandom was and furries did. And a major part of what furries did and still do is art. Like I mentioned, I kind of started drawing Keegan's persona, Keegan, and I did a lot of art for him because I was still learning how to draw and I didn't have a persona at the time. Eventually Mocha came along. They've gone through a million iterations. I kind of didn't know what I was doing when I made them, and so I would change things here and there. Fun fact, the lopsided ears, so having the blue on the top and the blue on the bottom on either ear, was a mistake. I genuinely just accidentally coloured in the wrong thing when I was doing a traditional drawing, and that just stuck. But it was something that I found a lot of joy in, and as I mentioned in my previous video about why I'm in the furry fandom, it was a great way for me to just express myself in different ways, because I just wasn't able to do that in my life at that time. And having these people around me who are really open about it and really chill about it, and watching content about people who just didn't care that they were furries and the judgment that people would throw at them, and like the joy of being able to express myself, I kind of just fully accepted it. I definitely did have in the back of my head of, oh, ew, that's a little bit cringe, like, ew, nah. And as a gamer and as someone who grew up with family who had that like gamer v furry mindset, I kind of was like, I don't know why I think this is such a big thing, like, oh no, I have a character, the world is ending. Like, I definitely did have a bit of an internal battle, which is kind of sad to say, but I did have an internal battle, and eventually I just ceased to care. And I do kind of wish that adult me had that ability to cease to care, because I unfortunately do care a little bit more now, probably because I'm an adult and I'm kind of more like, oh, people my age are either gonna go one way or the other about it. But at the time when I became a furry, I just didn't care about the judgment. I just got to this point where I was like, it is what it is. But if I had to say that I blamed one thing for making me a furry, 2000s media, or at least ABC3. Now, I grew up in a family who was very kind of gamer mindset and who was into pop culture. My parents brought me to like supernovas and comic-cons as a kid. So I grew up watching a lot of anime, but ABC3 when I was growing up had a lot of anime on all of the time, and so I would just like go watch that separate from my family. But I did grow up with my family watching things like DBZ and all of that, so I kind of was always exposed to furries in a way, but in a way where people wouldn't call them furries. Disney, I am looking at you. The Lion King is furries, okay? Nemo, technically furries. Zootopia, that's not even technically, that just straight up is furries. But I grew up with a lot of that sort of media, and I loved it, and I just didn't know what it was. And so of course when I grew older, I still had an interest in the things that I found nostalgic and that I enjoyed as a kid, and that just kind of developed into me becoming a furry. So I guess the thing to blame is probably Disney and anime. Primarily anime, because I was like big ups in it, and when I was a kid it was really cringe, I know. And watching things like Naruto when it was airing on ABC3, I saw things like the Nine-Tailed Fox and I was like, I want to be that, let me be that. And that kind of just resulted in me, finding myself, and through a long series of events, meeting people who kind of gave me the terms and understanding of what I felt and what I liked. So there is no one thing that made me a furry. I know some people will cite different YouTubers or different content creators or different things, you know, watching dance competition videos, which I kind of dabbled in but not much, or, you know, specific content creators looking at You Telephone and Odin Wolf. Those two are very big in the community. I don't know much about Majiro Strawberry. I know a little bit about the drama with them, but I haven't really heard anyone say that like that was the reason for them becoming a furry. But there's lots of reasons why people become furries. For me, it was just kind of a series of unfortunate events that I had an interest in them, and someone gave me the words, and now I'm here. But let me know down below, why are you a furry? What got you into the fandom? Did you just kind of discover it on your own? Is there a specific video that you watched and that kind of clicked in your head? Don't forget to chuck us a follow, and I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one.